That being said, because it's been a couple of minutes, and obviously just to take advantage of your time, Ellie, before you leave, do you want to just give some insight on everyone and just recap on what Wednesday's going to look like?
Yeah, so as Liam said, it's sort of like how you would on a normal match day go in, get changed, warm up, and kick off. Normally we would have time to like catch up after the meeting, one to one with players. But as on my email, I put that I'll catch up with you all individually after the game, probably the week after, so it gives me time to review the footage and review everyone's performances, and then I'll catch up with everyone one to one post that. Anyone who hasn't managed to find their individual player times for the games, let me know because there is two games happening that day. So just shoot me a message or an email, and I'll resend those to you.
Yeah, no, that's great. Really appreciate that, Ellie. I think everyone has your contact information as well. If not, admin at US Sports Scholarships, we all get access to Ellie at US Sports Scholarships, obviously for Ellie, and mine is Liam at US Sports Scholarships. So any questions that you've got on the day, obviously key things are we'll be providing the kit. I know some people might ask about colours because I don't know for tape for their socks or things like that. I think Ellie. Maybe we'll be able to confirm that for Wednesday, just waiting on Charlton because we normally would have one game will be red kit and one will be blue kit. But we just need them to confirm that they can basically do the reverse of that as well for the games. But that being said, as I said, I don't want to take up too much of your time. Definitely super excited to run through this content with you. If it's okay, I'll just quickly ask, does anyone have any questions before we get into tonight's content? Awesome. That's great. So I just gave Ellie a bit of anxiety, and a disclaimer: this will, when you look at my desktop, this might stress everyone out. Ellie was just giving me a hard time about it. Unfortunately, that is 2 weeks worth, so I need to definitely get on that. But hopefully everyone can see my desktop and not the mess that's on it, but at least this video. We have done a quick test run and Ellie was able to hear me. If anyone can just mute themselves while we're playing the video, just so there's no background noise. I just thought, especially for the girls, this is probably more interesting than listening to me talk about America. And to give you some context, Ellie, I know two Ellies here, we've actually got another Ellie as well, but the Ellie, the video we're about to watch now, and this is on our YouTube channel, she's a brilliant role model and success story. So I think she's one of the youngest ever to play her first team debut for MK Dons when she was 16. We then placed her at this university we're now about to see, which is called Middle Tennessee State University, which is a strong Division One program. Then, because of COVID, I guess one good thing came out of COVID was everyone got an additional year to play. Someone have a question, sorry. Was that, sorry, Catherine, was that a question? Or
No, no, it's fine, thanks.
Oh, okay, sure. Sorry. So she went to Middle Tennessee State, got 5 years eligibility to play. So she completed her undergraduate degree, did amazingly well, and then in her last year, we transferred her to Hofstra University in New York, which is a top Division One school, 80,000 a year. So Ellie has done an undergraduate and a master's degree and come out completely debt free, which is pretty phenomenal. And obviously had the experience of living in two states as well. So I'll quickly play this. Don't worry, I won't play all 8 minutes, but just to kind of highlight what the facilities are like mainly.
Student athlete. It's currently 6 a.m. on a Tuesday. Just grab myself a protein bar before practice. Still dark outside, but that's how we like it. About to go to practice and then I'll have weights after. And here it is. This is the soccer stadium. Um, we have a really nice facility actually. The change rooms are really nice and the stands are pretty big. And this is where we have all our training and home games also. My roommate Alex. She's from Miami, so that's pretty cool. I go back there with her family for spring break sometimes, which is nice. That's another good thing. You meet really good friends and they take you home. I'll take you on a locker room tour. So you can do that. Yeah. So this is our locker room. We each get a locker with our jerseys in and all our kits. And then one of the best things we've just recently purchased is Catapult, which is the data tracker, which goes in here, and it shows me all my distance, all my my heat map, my speed, and everything. So that's cool. She's gonna edit you out. Ready? Hold on. What's up, and welcome to MTSU Soccer. And then
One thing I would say is very similar to professional clubs is you do get loads of free merch. Embarrassingly, actually, to that point, I'm actually still wearing some from my university today, still living in the past over here 15 years later. But obviously they've got the data analysis, you're having team meetings with insights on your next opponent. And let me skip forward here so you can see as you go into the changing rooms with the boots as well.
Boot rack, so everyone's boots with a number on. So this is mine. I have these ones which are kind of my game ones, and these ones I wear. I wear them for practice because a bit more hot.
Just skip through that bit. Unfortunately, we couldn't watch much of training on that day because of the weather, but I just thought it would also be worthwhile to see what the gym facilities are like. Unfortunately, the gym I go to now in the UK does not look like this, but definitely makes me jealous looking back at the facilities.
It's not weight room. Currently golf and volleyball in here working out right now. And then we take the weight room after. Yeah, this is it. So this is the nutrition room. So this is where just before weights we'll grab like some fruit or a yogurt or something, and then afterwards we always grab a protein shake. Or they have ready-made ones that they make with the blenders, which are nice.
So yeah, I'll park it there for the video, but it's just even little things that I miss about being a student athlete, like the free protein bars and protein shakes and strength and condition programs. Looking through, I don't think, obviously there Ellie's going through. Maybe we'll just see this quickly. You can see that all games at D1 level will be on ESPN pretty much. And as you can see, the facilities are super professional.
The cross was scored. There she is again. Hitting the Priest. Gives MTSU the lead with under 4 minutes to go. Her second goal of the night, 7th of the season.
So yeah, Ellie's just such a great role model for us, and it's been amazing to watch her journey. She's also open to chatting with any girls because obviously me and Ellie are a little bit older, so we haven't just come out of the college system. So if anyone wants to speak to her as well, feel free to do so. And then don't worry, I don't want to spend your whole evening just watching videos, but just picking out some good points. I mean, again, worth mentioning, like with this second student athlete, Tom, is that again started at a university and finished at a different one. So it's really important to get the 4 years support while you're in America. But again, Tom, because of COVID, did his undergraduate at Division 2 program, graduated debt free, and then we got him a move to Missouri State, which is this school. Obviously, we're not here to talk about men's football, but obviously the same applies, and the girls also have access to the same facilities. So here's like the physiotherapy room.
Or any treatments that you have? Do all the boys.
And again, like with the Jim and Ellie's video, that's just for student athletes. So it's not like you're going to have regular student body. Again, just have a look at the changing room here. Very similar to with Ellie, what you'd expect at a Division 1 level. Worth mentioning that soccer is, although it might get better following the World Cup, is only the 5th most popular sport in America. So pretty amazing the facilities that they have. I actually do have a tan right now. I just came back from Florida yesterday, and we were out at Stetson University, which is a top Division 1 program with 70 players, and they were absolutely blown away by the facilities. Skipping through here, I mean, one thing I definitely don't miss, which you need to get used to, girls, is the amount of ice baths that Americans love you to have. Following training sessions and games. One thing we used to like, well, not like doing, but as a freshman in your first year, you probably will be in it when it has the most ice in it. So as you get a little bit older, it's a little less worse in terms of the temperatures. Again, just good to see, like if you look at this gym facility, again, it's going to be very high level in terms of what you can see there. We don't need to watch Tom do his squats, but the last thing I wanted to show you, although not football, just to showcase just how big professional sports are, if any of you not been to America, this is just a college basketball game. So yeah, not bad at all, and quite a nice segue. We're still on the basketball theme, but we do a soccer tour out to Las Vegas every February, which some of you girls might already be aware of. The UNLV basketball stadium holds 18,500, and when we were there in February, there was 12,500 fans in attendance. So pretty awesome for the athletes to watch some of those players compete, and then the next day just see them at classes as a regular student. And yeah, just wanted to play the last video for you, and then I will get into the content, I promise. So this is from this year's Vegas tour 2 months ago. it's something like I'd never been to America before I moved there. I'm from Ipswich in Suffolk. If you've not been there, I wouldn't say you're missing huge amounts. But I was able to live in Chicago for 4 years, absolutely loved it. But one thing I would have liked is to have this type of experience to see what it's like to be a student athlete. Now, I mean, even if somebody went and actually thought, no, I no longer want to pursue that route, I think that's a win as well, because at least you've been able to firsthand see what that's like, as opposed to me, the first time I've ever been to America, kind of committed to being there for at least 4 years. But as you can imagine, everyone who's come on tour actually then says they definitely want to do it as opposed to not. But I think it's just such a brilliant experience. So yeah, let me quickly play. It's only a minute long. So yeah, there is a separate seminar purely about Vegas. But Ellie, sorry, I'm just wary of your time. Did you want to have any comments on what I'm now about to talk to the girls and the parents about, or Vegas in general?
No, I just purely think if you want to experience America firsthand, is to obviously go and play in a tournament. I did it myself before heading out to America, and I actually got recruited whilst playing out there. So signed a deal there and then with a coach, and obviously met him, and so it's a great opportunity to speak with coaches and obviously experience it. And then in terms of obviously heading to America, it's can be hard to wrap your head around to begin with, and the information I'm sure Liam's about to say you might feel a little bit overwhelmed by it, but of course, like going through the whole process, hopefully it will start to get easier and easier. But other than that, I look forward to seeing you all Wednesday, and I'll catch up with you all after the game on Wednesday.
Brilliant. Thanks, Ellie. Didn't you win when you win the tournament in Vegas as well or not?
So we came runners up, which is annoying.
Okay, well, definitely this year, next year coming, we definitely want to win it. We got to the semi-finals with the boys this year, semi-finals the year before, and we had some great players out there as well. I mean, the highlight, the last thing I'd say on Vegas is one of our girls, we managed to get Carol Berkeley to come out and watch her, and she is now going there this fall. So I don't think you'll manage to top trump that. And one of our other girls, actually, just thinking, Ellie, also UNLV, the actual Division One school that were there, also said that they want to recruit her for 2027, which will bring me nicely into these slides as you're thinking, hang on a minute, we're in 2025. These top schools will recruit years in advance. And I know it's pretty optimistic as a football manager to think you still have a job in 2, 3, 4 years' time at the same school. But like if, for example, if I'm recruiting Ellie, who's a central midfield player, I know that I'm going to lose her in 4 years' time when she graduates. So you're almost working in 4 year circles in terms of cycles, sorry, in terms of recruitment. That being said, Ellie will let you go. So thanks for joining. I know everyone has access to Ellie for any questions. And as I said, unfortunately, you're going to be left with me now, but don't worry, I know what I'm doing. And that is a terrible picture of me. So let's not start on that one. Give Ellie a quick laugh while she leaves. Um, hopefully everyone can see the slides, which is great. I'm just double check that. Yep, that's perfect. Cool. So this is now the content. Again, I always like to start with the videos just to give some context, because static images don't really quite do it in terms of looking at it. In terms of hopefully credibility and reassurance for everyone who's on the call, we have been doing this a long while, almost 15 years. We have placed over 3,000 athletes, and if you look at the caliber of clubs that we're working with, we are an LFE official partner. So I work on men's soccer, and obviously Ellie works on the women's. Pretty much all of my guys are professional academy scholars, and hopefully you can see that from our social media channels. Social media, I get told to push that, so I've done that. But in all seriousness, I think there's some brilliant content there in terms of you can see other girls that are going through the pathways. We have got a women's specific Instagram, so I think that would be a good place to start as well. You can see Katie there on one of the pictures. She played in our Vegas tour, not this year, but last year, and she's just completed her first season at Mars Hill in Carolina, at a Division Two program. So again, lots of great tangible outcomes from the tour and obviously the process itself as well. Definitely don't want to spend too much time on this, but that is me, believe it or not. But there's some evidence for you that I did once play football. Presented this to the players out in Florida 2 days ago, and they got a good laugh at my picture. But yeah, so look, to give you kind of an overview, I was at Ipswich Town from 9 until 19, thought I was going to be a pro. That didn't happen. And then barely had the internet, so it seemed too good to be true. But went to a school called Illinois Tech in Chicago, did fairly well. I will say the goalkeepers were not amazing out there, so my goal record does look pretty good, although I wasn't on penalties, so imagine, I could have had a few more. But in all seriousness, when I got released, I was pretty distraught and didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. So I was playing step three semi-pro. I was working in Specsavers and coaching at Ipswich, which was great, but I didn't really want to do that personally for the next 20 years of my life to this point. So yeah, I knuckled down out there. I got All American of the Year for the entire country, 2011 and 12. I graduated with straight A's. So for parents listening, this is definitely very unique about us as a company. Maybe not as interesting some of the players, but our average grade point average for the company is above a 3.8, which might not mean a lot to you, but basically in America, if you got all A's, you would be a 4. If you got all B's, you would be a 3. So I got straight A's for 4 years, and as a company, we're a 3.8. So we definitely put the student part of student athlete first. But also, look, we're there to leverage your skills as a football player. I will call it soccer throughout, so you're gonna have to live with me on that one. Apologies. And then, yeah, look, after that, I got a master's degree, started this business, and very American, but I was inducted into my school's inaugural Hall of Fame in 2022, which was, yeah, just a proud moment for me, but also just kind of like represented the full cycle that I'd been through with this process. Anyway, let's move on from that picture. This is definitely going to be more of interest to people that are listening, which is Freya, who you'll also see on Wednesday. So, and again, you can ask her any questions. She only came out of the system 18 months ago. She looks like one of the Avengers, her hand in the bottom right, and that's because she won a lot of conference championships, which is pretty amazing. Those obnoxious rings is what you get if you win a conference. And to be fair with Freya, she did design the one on the left, which is the most obnoxious, I always tell her. So, but look, Freya played with Russo and other Arsenal players when she was at Arsenal as a youth player. She then went to Millwall at U17. And look, a lot of those players, like Russo, did play in America, by the way, as well at North Carolina. It seemed they all liked to go. And even the manager, Sabrina, she played at North Carolina as well. So Freya's been to the top level. She went out to Loyola University. So just a pure coincidence that me and Freya were both in Chicago. And also it happens to be our favorite city, having lived there. Albeit don't go there in the winter is my advice. I was there in January and it was -15. I didn't appreciate it as much. And look, Freya, that school's 60,000 a year. Freya came out completely debt free. As you can see from her stats, she was not a striker. And to be fair, I'm not sure why that only says 27 games. I think that's 27 starts, but yeah, she was a three-time conference champion. In fact, I think that was meant to be 47, but and also was the captain in her final season. And she actually went on to play for a pre-professional club, Chicago City, post-graduation, which again, don't think like you're sacrificing a professional opportunity by going to America. In fact, later on in a couple of slides, I'll talk about a good example of that. And a lot of our girls at the top level are still getting called up by their country's youth teams while they're out there as well. So Freya will be there, Ellie will be there, I will be there on Wednesday. So it's going to be an incredible event, and feel free to pick her brain on everything. Freya actually also dual scholarship, so she also ran track as well. Not many coaches are a big fan of that because guess what? If you pull your hamstring sprinting and say you can't play, your coach probably isn't going to be too happy. But she must have been pretty good at both, and they were happy for her to do that. Just wanted to, I guess, to be fair, this is more through our LFE partnership, just to showcase some of the recent placements we've had, but also probably our social media channel is the best place to start. But some good examples here. I guess the most notable, we've looked at Ellie, but Grace McEwen is quite a notable name for quite a few people. But she's quite an interesting one because she actually turned down a Cal Berkeley full ride and has decided to stay in England. Unfortunately, she's had a serious injury at the moment. But the point of that, to highlight that to girls as well, is that don't think that, we're not telling you to sacrifice anything to look at America. A lot of players, in fact, most of the players we work with currently, it's not public that we're working with them, right? The likes of Chelsea's and Liverpool's and Man U's, they're not massive fans of what we do, funnily enough. But ultimately, you've got to be selfish and put your future at the forefront. And if that means pursuing America without your club knowing, not all of them are supportive of that. We can do that as well. So, in terms of the boys' side, particularly, like when I work with players, pretty much all of them are trying to get pro deals at pro clubs. When I was at Ipswich, I wasn't thinking, I hope I get released so I can end up in America. In hindsight, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. And we get more and more players that turn down pro deals. Again, if you go on our Instagram channel, Lucas Dawson, Hull City player, he was offered a professional contract and has turned it down to go to America, which is very brave, but also I think speaks volumes to the opportunities that lie out there. Another one I'll just quickly make note of on here is Tom Miles. He started at a Division Two team called Lubbock in Texas, did amazingly well, and then we moved him to University of Virginia. If you're not aware of that university, when you start this process, you soon will. That is a phenomenal school, one of the best in the world. And then another example here, Teddy started at a Division Two called Lake Erie in Ohio, smashed it beyond belief. The top 25 D1 teams in the country all then offered him a full ride, so he could just pick where he wanted to go. He went Hofstra, which again, coincidentally, is the same as Ellie, and he's now a professional footballer. So he's playing for Texoma. So yeah, we're really proud of all these athletes and love talking about what they've gone on to do and continue to track their progress. I had an exciting one this week as well. One of my former athletes just became a head coach, which is pretty phenomenal at 27 to be a head coach at an American university. I did warn everyone I do speak too much, so also feel free to tell me to move on. But in terms of when we're looking at the videos, there's different governing bodies and there's different divisions in America. Again, I could probably do an hour chat on this. If you're listening to this call and you got below fours on your GCSEs, roughly speaking, I would say you're going to have to go community college, which is NJCAA. Now, there's loads of benefits to this. And if you like Netflix, there's Cheer, which follows a community college, and there's Last Chance U, which follows community college. I do watch too much Netflix. And then there's loads of unbelievable sports documentaries on there. Now, if you got above that, we would be looking at the NAIA as a 4-year governing body, which I competed at myself, and then the NCAA, which splits into 3 divisions. Division 3 cannot give athletic scholarship. So really, if you're above a 4 and you're a good player, we'll be looking at D1, D2 and NAIA. That being said, the benefits to the JUCO route are you're going to play straight away because half the team graduates every year because it's a 2-year program. The costs are lower. And as of this year, you can go there for 2 years, get your associate's degree, think of it as a half a degree, and then play for 3 years at a 4-year school and get your master's degree. So I know that all sounds confusing and there's lots of variance here. And we're talking over 2,000 women's soccer programs. That's the point of us, right? To help guide you towards what would be a good fit for you from a academic and a football perspective and location. And obviously money can't be ignored either. I'm sure, I swear I'm always just showing my age with this thing when I chat to the players, but surely everyone's heard of Shaquille O'Neal, probably more from his TikTok antics than him playing for the Lakers, but he went to LSU. I have got a student here doing a PhD. As you can see, they get over 80,000 at a home game. So just to highlight that the lines and margins between professional sports and college are forever getting closer and blurred. And if you are a top elite level athlete, some of our athletes are now getting paid. So we just had a field hockey athlete who's going to Penn State, which is 90K a year. They're going to pay for everything and give her an $8,000 a year stipend just because. So it's a crazy landscape. It's exciting. For those of you that follow college sports, you definitely would have heard of Caitlin Clark, who's a female basketball player. She signed a $50 million Nike deal while she was still a college athlete. This is all new. Prior to COVID, you could not get paid as an athlete. So yeah, never a better time to go there. And if you're looking at football perspective, although on the men's side you've got the World Cup next year, and for girls, like we were just out in Florida and we played against some strong club teams, and the team we were out there with did lose 3 of their 4 games, and that's been great for them because now they realize, oh wow, these American females are pretty good. I mean, one thing they've all got is they're all pretty athletic, pretty quick, and hardworking. And I think also what gave them a bit of advantage was it was 35 degrees every day, which, is tough for the girls as well. But again, that's what can be good about Vegas, albeit Vegas is in February, so that it will be 15 degrees. So a nice intro to a little bit warmer, but nothing crazy. But yeah, in terms of America, I think it kind of sells itself. Don't let Donald Trump put you off, and don't get offended if you are a Trump fan. And I've said that, that was just a joke. But you can never be too careful. In terms of the size of it, it's absolutely huge. In terms of finances, it's a no-brainer. We are a UCAS registered centre, and I am going to be biased. But if you're a good player, I would not be looking at UK unis because you're going to get in the same amount of debt as a regular student, and think of the hours that you've spent, on your football, or parents' hours being a taxi driver. And you're going to get in a ton of debt. So, like my sister went to UCO in London, got in 60 grand's worth of debt. I went to a school that was, $200,000 over 4 years and came out completely debt free. Academic wise, a lot of you, if that's important to you, Google top 50 universities in the world, and over half of them are going to be American. I'm sure you've all heard of the likes of Yale, Stanford, Duke. There's some phenomenal schools out there. And I know it is very cliche, maybe American to say, but I can't describe college life other than it being magic. I had an idea in my head what it would be like, and for me personally, it surpassed that. We were training twice a day in unbelievable facilities, strength and conditioning programs, nutrition programs, flying to games and pre-season, sometimes playing in front of thousands, games on ESPN. It's just absolutely unreal. And yeah, a real eye-opener if you've never been to America or a college game before. And it is a realistic opportunity to come out completely debt-free, with the caveat that I wouldn't want anyone to come off this and go, oh, Liam said if I go to America, they're going to pay for everything. Naturally, it is super competitive. And like this Florida Rush tournament we played in last week, those girls play in those tournaments every single week, all year round, trying to impress American coaches. So super competitive, but the rewards are there for you as well. I've kind of talked about this already. This just kind of lays it out in probably an easier to understand format. But again, by the way, these slides are also downloadable from the homepage on our website. So don't feel like you need to take too many notes. I think the key point of this is just to show the sheer scale of it. There's over 500,000 student athletes in the college system every single year. Obviously, that's across multiple sports. And look, the journey's about where you finish, not where you start. So we've had players start here and end up professional. We've had players start here and end here. We've had players start here and end here. So it's super fluid. And, with the UK option, you're thinking mainly 3 years, get the UCAS points I need. I'll visit in person. I'll get in tuition, 10 grand, food, housing. I know what I signed myself up for, put it on a student loan. And then you've got me and Ellie and Freya over here saying, come to America. We don't know what state you'll be in. We don't know what school you'll be at. We don't know what the scholarship will be until you start the process. I fully appreciate that's not in everyone's comfort zone, but it is definitely risk reward. And as I said, we've placed over 3,000 athletes now at over 800 different schools. And I'm sure if you spoke to any of them, they definitely don't regret their decision to go to America. Again, feel free to put a message in the chat if anything I'm saying is confusing, or you want to ask any questions, but otherwise I'll continue. Why use a company like us? There are other companies out there. Ironically, me and 3 of my colleagues started this business because we had bad experiences using 4 different companies. They were all very much high volume, didn't care on quality. So therefore, I mean, in particular, my experience was I didn't take the entrance exam because they never told me about it. So I had to take a gap year. When I did go, I applied for the NCAA and I failed the eligibility center because I thought I'd show off and say I'd been paid to play. That isn't a good time to do it. They thought I was a professional. After a couple of years, as you can see from the stats, I was doing quite well. I should have been going D1 full ride. They wanted to charge me more for that, and then they ignored me when I said I wouldn't pay for it. So my personal experience was terrible. So look, when we started 15 years ago, we said we're only ever going to work with 50 athletes per sport per year. Soccer's a little bit different because that's what we're known for. So we have 50 male, 50 female. We will not go over that every single year, which is, I think, so important to get that personalized service. We've signed athletes from other companies where they say they haven't heard from their representative for over a year, which is just madness. We have a WhatsApp group with all of our athletes. We're available 24/7, 365. I'll say that quietly because my wife's downstairs and she moans about that aspect as well. But look, we're here to provide the best possible service for you. And our kind of motto is not we're getting players out to America, it's we're getting players graduated from American colleges. This is a minimum 5 year journey, a year before plus 4 years out there. Or if you're starting 2 years in advance, 6 years, and also we'll assist after that. Ellie in particular has a phenomenal network in the English women's football, and she can help with placements after you've graduated as well, whether that's in Australia, England, or America as well. I know mums in particular don't like the Australia comment. It's like we're already sending you far enough away to America. But a lot of girls, that's a popular option, 4 years in America and then up to 3 years in Australia afterwards with the current visa situation. This date's a little bit out of date. As I said, we have placed over 3,000 now. Experienced in the sense, I know I showed evidence of it, but we have been through this process ourselves. Connected in that we work with every single scholarship given university in America. Now, you might be like, well, hang on a minute. You said there's over 2,000. You've only placed at 800. As I said, a lot of Division 3 schools, they're never going to take our players because you can't get any athletic scholarship at those. And as I said, the key thing is the personal touch. And obviously, feel free to check out our Trustpilot page to see reviews. Happy to chat, for you to chat to any parents or players that we're working with. We do get over 20,000 applications a year and only offer 50 sport-specific places. Obviously, soccer the exception with 50 for each. And this kind of recaps what we've already talked about. This is the bit where I normally look like a weatherman, but the purpose of this is to say, look, until you start the process, we're not going to know where you're going to end up. Now, like that girl at Cal Berkeley, of course, she's over the moon, but say Cal Berkeley didn't need a striker, they wouldn't be taking her. So with team sports, there is that element of luck in that unless they're looking for a player in your position, then it's just physically not going to happen. Again, without sounding too negative, but as of this year, Division 1 schools can only have 28 girls on their roster. Now, this is brand new, and the reason why they're changing these rules is because the NCAA are getting sued a lot, is that you could have had 40, 50 girls on a roster as of last year. So you'd have had players that are called a walk-on, which means they're getting no scholarship. Now, if you think of that, every team's going to have 3 goalkeepers, and then you've got 25 outfield players, so pretty much 2 in every position. So again, just highlighting that it's super competitive at a Division 1 level, and the journey might mean starting somewhere else, proving yourself, and then moving to that. Or, you could start at a lower D1, prove yourself, and we could also still move you to a higher one afterwards. We do work across a variety of sports, but let's skip that because we're just here to talk about women's football. In terms of different packages, I'm not fully aware of obviously everyone on the call, what age group the girls are at, but I will skip forward to the 1 of 50 we talk about is called a Premier athlete, and then I will come back to what an academy athlete is. But I wanted to stop here for a second. So Alex Fugel also played at Arsenal as a youth player and was playing for Ireland under 17s. She was worried that they would stop calling her up when she went out to America. That wasn't the case. Now, she actually, small world, she was at Middle Tennessee State where Ellie Goff was, did really well. And then prior to her graduating, we moved her to Seton Hall, which is a phenomenal D1 school as well. And then she decided not to go the master's route, but actually is playing as a professional in Italy now. So again, she's a great role model and inspiration for all you girls. Worth mentioning with both of these girls, they did get above a 3.8 GPA as well. So they've done amazingly in the classroom and amazingly on the field. So we're super proud of their achievements. And also, we still speak to these girls like every week now, even once they're done as well. But the Premier athlete, first of all, think of us what we do like an agent. So think of Ellie like your agent. You're going to judge her based, and Freya, she works on the women's team as well. You're going to judge them based on what interests and offers they're able to generate for you. Now, what I would say is what we do isn't rocket science. We've just been doing it a long while and like to think we've built a reputation for quality. So our coaches website is accessed by about 1,000 coaches a month across all sports. We have an app that has similar volume to it as well. And then sad to admit, but we all live on WhatsApp, as I said. So even after this, because of the time difference, now I'm back in the UK, it'll be all evening of having calls with coaches. I'm looking for a female player. I also do help on the female side as well, but we're looking for a female winger next year with these grades that's similar to Alex that you placed with us before, who have you got? So that's the type of discussions we're having. Don't get me wrong, when we first started, it was a lot of us having to push athletes, but now I guess through a lot of hard work, a little bit of luck, the coaches will come to us, they respect our players, and obviously we continue to place them good players, they're going to continue to want them. Outside of that, it's also helping with admissions, eligibility centres, everything that comes with that, flights, health insurance. And as I said, arguably the most important thing is supporting you for the 4 years while you're in the States. That could be finding you summer teams while you're out there. Ellie can help with that. That can be obviously finding you with post-graduation opportunities too. Now, if you're listening to this and you're normally 15 is a good target for this, we call it an academy athlete. So if you're a player for 2027 entry, legally you can't get contacted by a coach until 15th of June, so next month. Now, obviously, that's coming around pretty quickly. So even if you were one for 2028, this would also be a good package. Long story short on that one, say you were one for 2028, you physically can't be contacted by a coach until June 2026. It's illegal. Now they can contact us about you, like that player who I mentioned who got the D1 UNLV offer. She was too young to be spoken to by the coach, so the coach spoke to us while we were there. Now, the reason why I mention that is the premier athlete and the academy athlete, up until when you get close to it being able to be contacted, are pretty identical. You get access to the same resources and us. Now, the key difference is one, say, for example, you want to go to America next year and you're on the academy athlete. When a coach rings Ellie and us and the team, we're only talking about our 50 cohort. So it's our responsibility to generate offers for you. Under the academy one, think of it as a DIY package. It's your responsibility. We can help provide guidance and we don't support you for the 4 years while you're out there. So they're the key differences. But the reason why I mention this, if you're like 15 now, or around that and starting the process, you could start as an academy athlete. Anyone can sign up to that. And then if you've been offered a place on the Premier Athlete, maybe post Wednesday's trial, you could then upgrade to a Premier Athlete prior to obviously the June deadline. Now, if I go back to Grace McEwen at Brighton, she did this route. Academy athlete, then 3 months before the June, she upgraded to a Premier Athlete. And then I am a Harry Potter fan, I will admit it, but a bit like Harry Potter when all the letters are coming through the door, that would have been Grace's email inbox on the day they could start. Contacted her because we'd already started pre-promoting her prior to the deadline. Hopefully that will make sense, but they're the key differences between the two. Again, feel free to ask me on the day or any of the team with that. We've talked about tours already. Obviously not a women's picture here, but this is from 2024 tour. Of those 20 lads, 18 of them are in America now. And then 2 of them are going out this year. So there are tangible benefits. Again, highlighting the fact that there's over 250 coaches there, 900 teams. Amazingly, you're in a desert, but there are 10 grass pitches as well as 15 astro. This coach here saw Luke play on the day, offered him a deal, and now he's just finished his first season there, which is pretty cool. In terms of whether you're an academy or a premier athlete, you get access to our athletes website as well, where it's got everything that you kind of need in the lead up to going out to America. I get there's something called Google, but as schools are interested in you, you can browse our university database, which is this, where you can look up the schools, the states, watch the videos. There's nutrition programs, strength and conditioning, SAT exam support. This is hot off the press as of today. You will also get access to an AI tool that we've just developed with our partners, where you could, for example, type in to the I want a pre-season Division 1 fitness program for the next 8 weeks, and 30 seconds later it will spit it out. And if you've uploaded a video of your play, it will be bespoke to how you play, which that's pretty phenomenal, and I'm super excited about that as well. As I said, we also do work with another partner where there's an app where your profile will be located. So sorry, I'm hopping all over the place here. So this is the coach's website. So they could log in and say, I'm looking for a female player for 2028, this position, these grades, who have you got? I get this as a track and field example, but the key, the highlight reel is key, because not everyone is going to be in Vegas. Not everyone's going to be at our showcase events. Not everyone's going to be able to come over and watch you play in person. A lot of the top schools do. So the highlight reel is going to be key. If I say, look, Freya's a goal scoring forward, and then there's 5 minutes of you missing chances, they're probably not going to say, let's give her $200,000 in scholarship. So they do rely on our recommendations with that. I say a fun fact, maybe not that fun, is that there's over 17,000 videos on our YouTube channel and the average watch time is under 90 seconds. So I'll always say the highlight reel is the invitation to the party, not the party itself. So we want to get their attention. You know, on social media, everyone's guilty of scrolling, grab their attention, and then they'll ask for a full game if they're interested beyond that. Cool. So moving on from that, I'm sure this all sounds amazing. Live in places like Chicago, Florida, New York, California, potentially come out debt free. But again, as I mentioned earlier, we can't guarantee where the offers will come from, what that will look like, what the deals are, because naturally football is subjective. I could send two players to one coach, and I think one is way better than the other, and he'll think the other one is. But obviously, through our personalized approach and the fact we've been doing it so long, we can guarantee we'll give you the optimal outcome in terms of variety of offers and what those scholarship deals look like. Moving on from that, obviously we've got loads of success stories on our website. Feel free to check that out. Some good examples here. So Megan, she was playing for London Bees before she went out to the States. She did 4 years at Southeastern Louisiana, graduated debt free, now studying a PhD at LSU as well as working for us. Holly, another cool one. So she was actually going to community college paying $15,000 a year just because her friend was going there. But the difference was Holly was playing at Chelsea with straight sevens to nines. So that should not have happened. So we were able to interject on that, get her a full ride move to Oakland University D1. She played there for 4 years, graduated, now is married to an American, has just had her first baby, which is pretty awesome in terms of that journey. And then we've already talked about Ellie as well, but just thought I'd highlight some of the key ones that we've had that have gone on to great things. And talking to that point, again, once you join us, there's no getting away from us. Ellie was one of our first women's soccer clients. She was at Ipswich Academy, actually in their first team before she went to America. Again, placed at a D2. The idea for Ellie was to go to a D2 for 2 years and then move her on to a D1, but she was loving it so much that she wanted to stay there for 4 years. Looking at her stats, yes, she was a defender, but played 66 games in the 4 years, got to the national tournament. Look at her GPA, 3.9, psychology degree, came back and re-signed for Ipswich. So again, going back to that thing is, you're 22, you can carry on playing until you're 35 if you really want to. And if you're a good player, what you'd probably do is come back a better player and fitter than everyone because you've been training twice a day constantly for 4 years. Re-signed for Ipswich and now works for us also while doing her PhD. So as I said, we're very much an academic and football driven company here. She has actually moved from Needham. She's now playing for Sudbury. So I think Ellie might be there on Wednesday. She's playing in a cup final Tuesday night. If they win, maybe she won't want to be there. I don't know. We'll see. But hopefully she'll be there as well. There'll be at least one Ellie anyway. Again, we're not here to talk about men's football, but always like to mention Matt because released by Colchester at 15, Division 2 program, moved to Missouri State. Again, small world. That is the school that Tom was at on the video earlier with the basketball game. 20 goals and 20 assists in his last season, drafted into Major League Soccer. So a kid who's told at 15 he's not good enough to get a scholarship at Colchester. No offence if any Colchester fans, but Matt played in front of 12,500 2 weeks ago, and I don't think Colchester are getting that. His journey's pretty cool because he then got bought by Maidstone after 4 years as a pro in America, played there for a year, and now got bought back by Chattanooga. So he's back in America, and this is, again, Americans aren't for everyone, and they might not get everything right, but as part of his deal, they're also paying for his master's degree. So things like that, I think America do really well, and that's pretty phenomenal. So Matt is now 26. He's been a professional footballer for 5 years. He's got no debt and now getting his master's degree for free as well. So again, Matt works for me as well out in the States as well. So yeah, there's no getting away from us. Again, not best advert for Colchester, but long story short is Callum wasn't great academically. We placed him at Hastings, got him a move to Creighton, went pro in Canada with Halifax, now is a pro in Chattanooga, and also works for us as well. So yeah, some phenomenal role models that we've had go through, and feel free to reach out to any of them on Instagram. They'll speak to you as well. Okay. So you'll be happy to know that that's the main overview of the process. I hope you found it helpful. Hopefully, I haven't gone on too long. I'm just looking at the time. Maybe I have. If you want to find out if you're eligible, well, if you're on this call, then you already know if you are because you're invited to the trial. Highlight reel we talked about. You could take a gap year. Really popular with a lot of my lads because they think, especially if they're in academy, try get a pro deal, get released, use the next year to get a pro deal, and then go out to America if that doesn't happen. Tennis is a little bit different. Let's not talk about entrance exams right now. What you want to study is quite important. Most of our athletes do business or sports science, but if you want to do architecture or engineering, there's fewer schools. If you want to do dentistry, medicine, physiotherapy, they're a little bit different as well. But again, look, we've got all the expertise to kind of guide you on that too. Ideal time to apply. I keep telling the team we need to get rid of this year and a half. I would say it's like 2 years in advance. Also, if you're looking to, well, if you're looking to get out 2025, that's not going to happen. I hope that's not a spoiler alert. But if you're wanting to get out 2026, either January or August, that's absolutely fine. I did sign someone a week ago and place them for this August, but they are a Luton Town Academy scholar. So obviously, the more elite you are, the later you can leave it. But if you're listening to this and as of recording, May 2025, if you're 2026, 2027, 2028 entry, that is ideal. Naturally, it's a massive decision, but if you're offered a place, the earlier you start the process, you get more work out of us and there's more scholarships available. It's as simple as that. What determines how much scholarship you can get can really vary. I stupidly just thought, well, I'm a good player. I was at Ipswich. I've got good grades. I want a full scholarship. It's not always that straightforward. I actually got half of my scholarship covered just because I was an international, because that's what they wanted. Others, it can be based on your entrance exam, or some even give one based on a BTEC, which is a bizarre one. So basically, what I'm getting at, every school is different. Every school gives different scholarship based on different things. Every school does give academic scholarship based on your grades, but again, that can vary. Actual costs. So community colleges, I mentioned earlier, about $15,000 a year for tuition, food and housing without scholarship. We've got some girls paying zero, top end, maybe some paying $6,000 to $8,000 a year for tuition, food and housing. You can work on campus, leading to my next question, and earn $4,000 to $5,000 a year. Going back to the different divisions I talked about, NAIA schools are typically about $25,000 to $40,000 a year without scholarship. NCAA Division Two, basically think of them as the same, 25 to 40,000. They're very similar in their attributes. Division One schools typically 50 to 70,000 unless they're a state school. So as I said, very different cost structures and what that can look like. As I said, we've got players paying zero, but I definitely wouldn't start this process assuming it's going to be zero because, say, for example, Clemson came in and said, we need you to pay $5,000 for year one and you're playing for Arsenal, and you're probably going to still want to do that, right? Because you can work and reduce it further. I think high end, we've got some players in the range of $10,000 to $15,000, but it's all relative based on your grades, how good a player you are, and what school you're at. Because if you're at a community college, the school's only $15,000 a year without scholarship, and then Harvard's 100,000 a year. I get that this can all be confusing, but again, I think if it was all super straightforward, we probably wouldn't exist as a company. So that's what we're here to help and guide you. Okay, so I am going to stop sharing. There's still 10 people here, so I say well done to everyone for persevering and putting through that. Or maybe I did a good job, I don't know. But that being said, that's kind of like it is a real high level. As I said, I could literally do an hour on the governing bodies, an hour on entrance exams, an hour on courses, but this is just to give you a real intro to it, and also without taking up your whole weekend with me talking at you. That being said, I will shut up now, I promise, and say over to you to ask any questions. I will just sit here in awkward silence for the next 2 or 3 minutes if not. But do remember, you might also want to, this will be on YouTube. You definitely don't want to rewatch it again tomorrow, but you might want to revisit stuff. And me, Ellie, Freya, Rosie are all going to be there. And Rosie's a parent of a student athlete. So all of the team will be there on Wednesday should you want to ask anything. Cool. I was just checking that I have been recording. I have done that once and not done it, but I have recorded. But yeah, fire away anyone. If not, I'll give it 2 minutes, and then if you don't have any questions, also feel free to leave. Brilliant. Thanks.
Thanks.
Hi, Liam. I've got a question for you in relation to Wednesday.
Yeah.
Can you give us a little bit of detail as to what exactly the purpose of Wednesday's match is? Is it more like a trial? Is it effectively you're looking for players who you can invite to come and take up one of your packages?
Yeah, you know what? I think it serves quite a few purposes. I think fundamentally it is great to see players play in person, but we've got players who are playing in it who are already signed with us because it is great to get footage within a stadium environment. And I know that seems so stupid, but like Americans don't have phenomenal knowledge of the English system. And therefore, if we've got, so like you could be playing for like a Brighton in their training ground. If you then played the same performance in the stadium at the Valley, it probably would come across better if that makes sense. And I think for those of you that are new to us, hopefully it showcases that we're a professional outfit and also get to know us in person. But look, we've got athletes in Australia, New Zealand, India who will never meet unless we meet them, obviously, when we're in America. So I'm not saying this is a crucial part of it. If you're a good player, and look, when I went out to America, there wasn't video cameras, so I had to play in a trial. Whereas nowadays, everyone's got footage, everyone's got VO, they can provide that and we can assess that. But I think selfishly, from our perspective, we do love to see a player play in person. And then from a player's perspective, maybe it's cool to talk to other girls that are going through the process. When we do our showcase game in December, there will be American coaches at that, and there will be college players playing in that. So there's definite benefit in that. With this one, we will record it and upload it to our YouTube channel. It just probably won't get the same volume of views as a showcase event, which is purely for our signed athletes. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question, like different purposes. And then again, I think from a parent's perspective, if you can make it, it's good to just nothing beats meeting in person.
Can you give us an idea as to what the range of ages will be among the players?
Yeah, sure. I mean, Ellie definitely is closer to it, but normally all of our trials, the age range can be from as young as late 15s or like 15 up until 17 is pretty typical for a trial age group. So that type of bracket.
And what will be the next steps after the trial? Will you contact us individually and say, you know, we like you, we want to
Yeah.
work with you, or you might say, well, I'll leave you to answer that.
No, it's a great question, really good question. In a normal, like I say, a normal one, in a non-stadium one where we've then got the facility afterwards, we offer the opportunity to have one-to-one meetings then and there. But the good thing about Wednesday, and obviously me being there, Freya and Rosie, is definitely Ellie and Freya will be sitting there and analysing the game and taking notes post the game. So it will be filmed. I'm old school, but I will be there with my camera. But there will be a VO as well, is that we will analyze it as a team and we'll give individual feedback. So to that point, there will be like things that you've done well, things you can work on, but also you'll either get offered a place on the Premier Athlete package, and then if somebody accepts that, we can send them a contract to review, doesn't obligate them to anything. Or we might ask for a coaching reference and some more footage because also appreciate not many people are going to have the best game of their life when they're playing with new players against a team that does play together. Or we might invite someone to a trial again, which can, we've had players that have tried multiple times and then gone on to have brilliant college careers. But yeah, the game also will be put on our YouTube channel as well, and that will be shared with you.